Hello everyone, Attack Power here with another How to Play the Division series with 7th Mechanized Corps. Let's dive right in here, and if you guys enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe, check out that Patreon down below to really support the channel, and make sure to follow me over on Instagram. Let's dive right in here. So, 7th Mechanized, really solid division. High B tier, low A tier, somewhere in that zone. It's got a lot of the good Soviet tools to work with. It has 2K options, some actually really solid 2K options, especially in the HE department. It's got some great planes, pretty solid. I mean, it's the standard Soviet infantry, but you get plenty of the stuff you kind of need to not suck. And then you get T34 76 spam, which in certain matchups on certain maps can be really quite good. On other matchups and other maps, it can be really quite bad, but on certain the right places, it can be quite good. And again, this division has a lot of flexibility that many Soviet divisions do not enjoy. So let's dive in. And again, this is my build. There's many other ways to build this. I think this is okay. I'll note as I go through your things that you could certainly change. I do think this is definitely a Maverick deck, though. I would not take it. I mean, you could do balanced. It does have like a lot of depth in terms of like AT and HE stuff, but I do think the right way to build this one is definitely a more aggressive tilt. So hopping into the recon, obviously we don't take the motorcycles. They're terrible. Dozers are always an option. Two-man recon teams can be extremely useful. There's nothing wrong with them, but there's just not a lot of slots, and the Resvika are definitely a ton more utility, and can still do the same thing the Dozers do by putting on a return fire. So it's not, they cost twice as much, but they do like 15 times more. So definitely worth taking these instead. Karyadushkas actually can be pretty useful in the right situations, but I just don't have the space for them. But do know that they can definitely be super annoying, especially if you're playing against divisions that aren't AT heavy on their infantry, and like you're playing like Orsha North or something. These in the Yellow Forest can be quite obnoxious. They pin very quickly with that Dushka. Moto Razvedka, I hate these. I hate all these kind of units. Like, just take the Dozer if you're going to take this. This thing is dumb. And T34 76, definitely something I would have loved to find more space for. But the thing is, you have plenty of T34, so like it's not like you need this unit in any way. It's just really nice when your T34 has recon. It's just nice when your tank has recon. It's really, there's no price. You're not punished for it at all. A little availability reduction, but other than that, so like it's a good unit, and if you can find 2 points for it, I would definitely encourage you to do that. But it's not like you need more T34s. Infantry tab. Again, this is basically just standard Soviet stuff. It's really kind of how you want to make the mix. I'm taking the leader here, the Sapper. I like the 20 point. Get them all. None of them have radar anyway. Radio, I mean, anyway. You could take the Tanko Komroti with the sniper. That is kind of useful. But on the flip side, I don't often want my leaders being spotted out with snipers. Could be wrong, but I love the 20-point leaders that you can actually get out all over the place. This also has a Panzerfaust, which does come in clutch in certain situations, since not many of your infantry actually carry, like legitimate AT that's not a AT rifle. Strelky SVT here in A. They're 20 points, so A phase is a good place for them, so you can get them out there at that cheaper price. Strelky SVT, Strelky DP, you have 3 cards of these, so it's just A, B, and C for me. I am vetting them in every phase, including C phase, which I don't usually do, but in this Maverick deck, I do like to vet a little more aggressively. A phase, also Tankos. I'd love to have the Tankos in B, but unfortunately, you don't have enough transports. Like, you just can't do it. I mean, you can take the M2s if you don't take something else in the M2s, but the Tankos in A is fine. And I want to take these M2A1s, and they're the only ones who can really take them. So you're kind of forced to bring them in A if you want to be using these super obnoxious half tracks. Tankos are still phenomenal. That has not changed at all. B base here, this is where the kind of different choices come. I am taking a card of Avtos, and this is kind of meant to be my BC phase CQC, like that kind of last into C phase here. I'm also bringing Saperty. These are probably the units I'm going to bring in more in B phase, is the Saperties, and then the Avtos are kind of bridge me into C phase and give me some CQC here in C phase as well. And then, of course, those last Strelky DP cards. I do find Avtos to be quite solid now. Are they amazing? No, but they are certainly good, and I like them. I think they're good, especially with the higher availability over the Saperties. I think it's a good choice to make here. The Saperty PPSHs actually would be nice with the increase of damage of the PPSH. These guys actually can be a little bit more useful now, and getting the 9 and A phase for 10 points each, and getting them zippy in the trucks, in the DZHPs, the Jeeps here, can be really useful. Just didn't find the space, but definitely something to consider for yourself. Maybe you don't like Avtos, you can put another card of Sapity in, but yeah, there's lots of flexibility here, but a lot of it does a similar job. I definitely wouldn't leave the Tankos at home, and I wouldn't leave any of the Strelky DP at home. They're just significantly better than Strelky. Continuing the tanks here. So we have the Su-76, like the special unit of this division, only 35 points, same gun as a T-34, just lower armor. I mean, this thing is phenomenal, and it's lower speed. This is phenomenal. I'm putting it in A because of its lower cost. You could double vet and go down to 3. I'm just going to single vet it, so I have the 4 here. I'm bringing in the T34 76 1943 with the lower armor, but I am double vetting this. The bonus of this, it does have higher availability, so it is available for the double vetting, and double vetting these things can really help. I also have a B-phase cards of the same unit, so getting 8 of those, and then getting 8 T34 76 1942s here in B as well. The point of these, honestly, is like if I come up against another T34 division, like 76 division, these are far better because they can kind of brawl in versus Shermans too. These fight much better against those two units than these, because these die to Shermans and T34 76s pretty easily. These do not nearly as much. So that's the reason for this card here. And then C-Phase double vetting this T34 card as well. Options I'm leaving at home. The Matilda 2. This thing can honestly actually be really good. I just didn't find space for it here, but I would not like completely judge anyone for bringing this for 25 points. Actually, if you just watch the game, what game was it? It was, I don't think it's out yet. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The Step Knight game, where Step Knight uses the Valentines and absolutely just wipes out several Panzer 3s and Panzer 4s, in fact, with this super fast firing gun. This can do a ton of work for 25 points. I mean, for 25 points, this is a very good tank. So definitely something to consider. The SU leader here, you only get 2 of them, so I wasn't too pumped about that. Same with the T34 76 leader. I'm not going to hate on anyone taking extra leaders. I just didn't really like, I wanted more T34 spam, and it just didn't feel like it fit. I see plenty of people bring them, though. I'm not saying this is the right choice. I mean, maybe you just take out this other card of T34 76s and put the leaders in instead. That's certainly an option. KV-1S, I did have this in and actually cycled it out. I do like this unit. For 60 points, it's very, very good. 100 millimeters of armor. It's got 95 millimeters of penetration. Very okay availability. I just didn't put it in. I mean, again, slot out any of these T34 cards if you really want more leaders. And if you want the 1942 variants instead, you can slot out the 43 variants and make them single vet, and it's basically the exact same availability. So if you want that higher armor and higher cost, you can do that. You just lose the veterancy and the availability. So support tab, really strong tab here in this division. Ognem and Cheeky, make sure to bring them in the Jeeps because the Jeeps are faster than the motorcycles, which is weird, but it is what it is. Assault guns here, they're solid. They're infantry guns. They do what they do. I'm vetting them once because you only lose 1 to get the extra 2 rounds a minute, and that can be really helpful. So I definitely think that's worth doing just to lose 1 of these. SG-43, I could vet them, but I'm not. I just want 6 of them. They're just there for their suppression ability. SU-152 here in A, a phenomenal 2K HE unit. SU-122 in B. I'm taking these in B because of the heat shell on this thing, and it can actually do really well in like Harashaye and stuff like that, where you have these like weird, like more open towns. This can do a ton of work with that heat shell because it one-shot stuff. It's got 40% accuracy on that heat shell, so it actually does pretty well hitting. Very, very good. You could flip this though if you want more SU-152s instead. I just think this thing actually does more work and has more utility in the long run. And then ammo in B. Not taking a commander here. I'm not like spamming leaders per se, so I'm just leaving this at home. I don't see myself having space for it in this sort of more T34 spammy deck. But again, another option, add T34 leaders in, get the commander, and go for like T34 spam with the leader to try to pump all that stuff up. Anti-tank tab. We have some fun stuff in here. Taking the 45 mil, I just think 45 mils are the bomb diggity, and I think not taking them is just the wrong choice most of the time. For 35 points, they can do so much. They kill a single Panzer IV, which are very capable of doing, and boom, you've paid this off 2 times over. SU-85, not a huge fan of these, but I wanted something else in B. The SU-76, it wasn't really exciting me. I mean, it could be really good at times, but I just decided to leave this one at home today. But again, you could slot this out. Instead of the SU-85, you could put the SU-76 in, and I wouldn't fault you for that at all. You could also put the ISU-122S in, but I feel like getting one of these in A is not like that groundbreaking most of the time. And I just think the SU-85s will actually be more flexible. B-Phase bringing in the ZIS-3s, so I have plenty of them. They're only 45 points, so we'll spring them around the map. Now I have them in the wrong transport. Always check. They have these stupid ZIS-42s in this deck. Freaking hate that. So annoying. So we fixed that up. That was nice. And the B-Phase card of ISU-122Ss. Don't like these units. I think they're awful. They die to any German medium tank really easily because they only have 125 millimeters of armor at max range. Of course, they tank okay, but they often lose out to things like Tigers, and they lose to Panthers very consistently. Of course, when this thing lands and it insta-kills something, it feels really good, and you feel like a Chad, but that's only for other people. Like, when you play this deck, when you use this unit, it's going to be total trash. When everyone else uses it, it's going to look like the most incredible thing in the entire world. So just be prepared for that. This unit will likely disappoint you horrendously. Into the AA tab, you get two good options to use. The Maxim's useless. M15 is fine. I mean, this is fine. I'm not a fan of these. I just don't think they perform super well. I'm more of a fan of just regular Zenarts because you can vet them up and still, have the same availability. If you want the mobility, take the M15. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want the same availability, you'll have to lose out in the veterancy. And veterancy on AA does a lot. And then 25 mil in AA, you definitely want these. 25 mils are fantastic. Really good for their cost, and they do a lot of work. There's another card if you wanted it, but I'm not taking it, of course. I think these two cards should be plenty, especially in the aggressive build we are playing. Our artillery tab, this is not very exciting. I don't like, this is not an artillery tab that gets me excited. Taking the leader here with their radio bonus here. Maybe, and even with that radio bonus, I probably should even consider switching something out, but there's really not even many options. You could take these instead, but the mobility of the SU-76 is actually really valuable and makes it much better at counter battery and moving it close to the front lines and stuff. So I actually still want the SU-76, even with like these options here. The availability is not really different. So I don't see a ton of advantage of taking the static arty here over this. I mean, of course, this is more expensive, but that 20 or 15 or 20 points, I think, is well worth having the mobility of this. And then I'm taking the 82 mil mortar on the motorbikes. These are great. They can actually dodge counter battery fire, which is really nice. You're not just like firing mortars and hoping your opponent decides to leave them alone the whole game, which they often don't. So this gives you a lot more flexibility. Yes, they're very low on ammo. That definitely does suck in A phase. But they're, I mean, really only 5.5 shells less than a regular 82 mil mortar. So it's not like egregiously less. It just is less. Like I said, these really aren't worth it if you're going to take the SU-76s. Katyushas suck, in my opinion. I think these units are horrible and are not good. And if someone tells me, well, they're for suppressing, well, then get a stupid off map if that's what you're using it for, because I just think these are trash. I really do not think these are good. 120 mil mortar, that's your prerogative, I guess. SU-76, like I said, the 203 probably should be in here. I'll be honest with you. I don't use off map, but if you're playing this really try hard and really want to be like mean about it and you have no moral compass, this would be the unit to use, because this KV-1 is actually a tank as well, which is really good. So it calls in its arty, it does its thing, you get 3 strikes with this thing, and then it goes and bees, and it's a pretty good tank. I mean, it's got 110 millimeters of armor, 100 millimeter gun here. I mean, this thing is actually pretty fantastic as a tank. So truth be told, you should almost definitely be taking this if you're playing this competitively, either A or B. I probably would take it in B phase because you want more of this ridiculous unit. What I would take out for it, probably the mortar. Honestly, I'd probably take out the mortar, keep the SU-76 in, maybe even put this in A phase then. But yeah, I mean, this is probably something you should play, but you know me, morally speaking, I've taken a strong stance against off-map, and I am now unable and not allowed due to the internet to play these units, because I'm pretty sure everyone in the entire universe would explode if they saw me playing off-map. I'd be the most massive giga hypocrite there ever was. Now, the air tab, a really solid tab here overall. We have the P3 Recon here in the beginning, 65 points, but very good resilience, really fast for this type of units. So yeah, definitely, if you're going to take Recon, this is a great Recon unit to take. You only get one, though, so you do have to be careful with it. Can't be flying it all over the place. Taking the P40, these are not great. They're not. They're pretty slow for a fighter. They have an okay loadout. They do have great agility, which means they don't get hit so hard by AA. But other than that, they have bad resilience. it's not a great fighter. It just isn't. It's only 85 points, which is nice, but it's just not a great fighter. It doesn't chase down fast bombers well at all. It certainly doesn't like chase down fighters really. Yeah, it's a necessary evil, honestly. And then, of course, P2s. You want all the P2s. I'm bringing the heavier P2s in B and the lighter-ish P2s in A. I mean, honestly, they all kill their targets in one bombing run usually anyway, so it makes no big difference there. Things we're leaving at home, P3 here. I'm not against using this unit. This loadout is a little light, but it does usually kill smaller things consistently. It can definitely take out like a Pack 40 or something with a good bombing strike, no suppression. It's very fast for a fighter bomb. It's got very good resilience, so it definitely can stay in the sky. And for only 80 points, this is definitely not a bad option, but I have a hard time picking it over a P2, which, you know, just stays way up in the air, gets in and out really fast, has a really good bomb loadout. I just have a hard time taking it over that. More P40s, of course, we're not going to take. There's more P2s if you want them. The P2 with the rockets, I mean, it does work. I can't say it doesn't because it's got a lot of rockets. It can definitely kill things. But the problem is that 145 point price tag and the low availability makes this unit not stellar compared to its brethren PE whatevers, 2s or 3s in this case. So, yeah, that's 7th Mech. This is a solid division. There's absolutely nothing terribly wrong with this division. It's got tools for everything. Doesn't have any horrible weaknesses. Its biggest weakness is definitely like it's arty. It can't, and that's why it's not really a balanced deck because it's hard to, if your opponent really gets an arty thing rolling, and can counter your T34s, then you're in a really tough spot. You don't have a ton of ways to break through all of a sudden anymore. So that's why I think it's more of a Maverick deck. But if you guys enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, consider checking out the Patreon to support the channel, and make sure to go follow me over on Instagram. Thanks a bunch, and have a fantastic day.